War rages across the mortal realms. New alliances are formed while others lie shattered, and the dominant powers ever seek their next conquest. The restless undead look to unite the realms in death, though the champions of destruction seek only to bring war. While this and countless other battles rage on, one fact is becoming clear. The season of war has begun.
Hello and welcome to Season of War.
Yes, we're very excited to bring you another game of Age of Sigmar tonight. Big thing, actually, first big thing, this is going to be the debut of our Soulblight Gravelords army. Now, we've had Matt on the channel with his Soulblight, but we've just recently got this army here painted up for us from RW Studio, and I'm super excited to get this on the table finally. Play Soulblight for myself, get the spooky boys out here some more, so very excited for this matchup.
Boys.
Yes. But just as we're jumping into things, always want to mention our printable scenery terrain that we're playing on, and then our local game store partners, X Planet here in Canada, and if you're in the US, you can check out Warpfire Minis, where we got these beautiful objective markers from. So thanks to both those partners, and definitely check them out if you're looking to pick up any Warhammer models or products or hobby stuff. And yeah. And as I mentioned, last but not least, have to give a big, huge thank you and shout out to RW Studio, the painters of our beautiful Soulblight army that we now have, and excited to play with it, excited to expand it, excited to kill stuff and then resurrect more skeletons.
Or die.
No. Well, yeah, die and then live again.
Just die.
No.
Die forever.
Die multiple times, but live and rise and continue to fight. But yeah, lots going on. Obviously, this is the first time we're playing this mission, which is called The Lurkers Below. And this is an interesting one. You know, deployment is end-to-end, and it's not, scoring-wise is normal, hold one, hold two, hold more. But you can't hold the middle objective unless you control your own, and you can't control your opponent's objective unless you control the middle one. So you have to kind of work from your end to the opponent's end. And normal, again, hold one, hold two, hold more scoring, but this is really kind of going to force a big smash up in the middle, I feel like.
Excellent.
Yes. Which we both, our combat armies, want to get into the fight, but want to do it on our own terms. That's that. Cass, do you want to jump in and take us through your army?
Sure. All right. So first we got our Mega Boss Anima Crusher right here. Big blue boy.
Yep.
With the Destroyer artifact, as well as the Fastum trait.
Yep.
So with Speedy Destroyer boy.
Yep.
I also have another Mega Boss over, where are you? Here. He's just on foot, but he's still badass.
Yep. Has the Vial of Manticore Venom.
Has the Vial of Manticore Venom.
For +1 to wound.
For +1 to wound. I have 2 War Chanters in the back here for some buffy buffs. I got a Weird Nom Shaman for some teleportation and some casting. I got my awesome MVP Brutes. I remember my Brutes were like, they friggin' killed it the last time I played with them. It was a while ago, but last time I actually had Brutes on my list for Ironjawz, they friggin' murdered everything. They're small but mighty. And then I got some Gore Gruntas, just vibing over here.
Doing
Fast boys.
Yeah. Protecting the
Fast boys.
The battle line deletion veterans in behind.
Yeah.
And
so that's it. That's my army. So my subclass is Iron Suns, which allows me to charge during my opponent's charge phase.
Yeah.
So should be interesting when we're playing some cat and mouse here.
Yeah, and lets your brutes potentially get in faster, or I can't take one unit at a time without risking more stuff trying to following in and getting into me. But to take you through my army list, I am playing Castelli tonight, so this is the vampire heavy one. Obviously, you see big, beautiful unit of 10 Blood Knights on the table. I have another 10 off the table. Castelli allows me to deep strike them from the board edges. So some, shenanigans there. I have a unit of bats, or fell bats, just for a quick objective holder, and they're handy for that. just dance around and run around. I have a unit of 30 skeletons over here. Again, they're going to be dying and then regenerating and then dying and regenerating again. And I have another unit of 10 skeletons. And off the board as well, they'll be coming up through the grave sites that we have marked out. And then I have a unit of 20 Graveguard who, again, just little skeleton boys, but they can really slap with those big weapons that they have. So dangerous on their own. And yeah, then for heroes, I have a Necromancer who's got Van Hell's, obviously, War Scroll spell to let my skeletons or something fight twice. And then I have a Vampire Lord and a Vendorian Lord. I did take the battalion to get an extra artifact here, and then we actually had very similar loadouts, actually. We both had an extra artifact in the battalion, then we were both running both of the new battalions for bounty hunters to kill all our battle line enemies real quick, and then the expert conquerors for just counting as more bodies on objectives. But big thing here in deployment, we actually were the same amount of drops here, both being 9, and you won the roll to see who goes first, as you seem to do every time when we play. So you're gonna, here have the choice of who goes first.
I'm gonna F shit up and go first.
Okay. All right. Obviously, you do have some speed there. I guess. Yeah. So with
time
that,
to murder some Edward Cullen. Let's go.
Okay. Yes. With that,
Which one?
This is the Vampire Lord.
That one.
This is the Vendorian Lord.
Is that also a vampire?
Yes, technically.
All right.
Cool. So.
All right. Sparkly boy's going down.
All right. Well, with that, we will jump into Ironjawz, turn 1.
The Ironjawz battle tactic is desecrate their lands. The Maw Crusher and Vampire Lord both use heroic leadership. The War Chanters use Violent Fury on the Maw Crusher and Gore Gruntas. The Shaman casts a great big green hand of Gork on the Gore Gruntas. The Maw Crusher uses Bastion. The Maw Crusher uses Mighty Destroyers on itself and both units of Gore Gruntas. The Maw Crusher deals 3 damage to the skeletons. The Gore Gruntas deal 2 mortal wounds from their Gore Grunta charge. The Maw Crusher roars at the skeletons. The Maw Crusher uses All-Out Attack and the Inspired Triumph, dealing 21 damage to the skeletons. Nine skeletons return from Skeleton Legions, and they deal 2 damage to the Gore Gruntas. The Gore Gruntas use All-Out Attack, thanks to Skull Shaking Bellow, and finish off the skeletons. The Fell Bats deal 1 damage to the Gore Gruntas. The Ironjawz complete their battle tactic for 2 points.
All right, so in Casa style,
typical fashion.
Yeah, girl went in and smashed some stuff.
A lot of skeletons.
Yeah, I wanted to come in and bring the fight to Jordan, and so I essentially buffed up my Maw Crusher and my Gorgruntas here. And my goal was to destroy his 1 unit of skeleton little boys. So yeah, I was able to do some pretty crippling damage, especially with my Gorgruntas, because they were buffed for my War Chanter, on top of them being like the bounty hunters. So I was able to do like...
They were doing 3 damage a hit.
Yeah,
like,
so, and I rolled like average, maybe a little above average, so it kind of, yeah.
Didn't end up...
My pigs didn't even get a chance to do anything. It was all my riders. So
Yes.
I did tag some bat boys, but that's okay. They only did 1 damage. I think they just did 1 damage. The skeletons only did 2 damage too. So, but yeah, I
You have
saved
brought the fight to me.
Yeah, and I chose not to use my destroyer artifact, so that way it kind of like pressures Jordan a little bit, so that
Oh yeah, you still have...
I still have some pull with this big dude.
Yeah. I think it was the right decision. It was potentially dicey after he attacked, but the Gorgruntas did enough work, right?
Yeah.
And not enough skeletons like
Yeah, because I
came
kind of
back
rolled
afterwards.
average with him, so I kind of had to. But yeah, so well, I'm eager to see how this goes.
Yeah, me
Hopefully
too.
you don't murder half my army, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, we will see. I've lost a bunch of skeletons. Wasn't expecting that, I must say, the aggressive play, but I got a bunch of stuff off the board.
You weren't expecting me to do the aggressive play?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's counter to what I would typically expect, but I mean, making surprise plays it works.
Are you married to me? As if you wouldn't think that I would come and just smash.
Yeah, well, you have, and I have a chance to fight back. I'm going to have to answer, and I don't know, partially because it's new army, I don't know if I can really deal with that mega boss right now, but I want to season my face. That's the problem. But yeah, otherwise, that's about it, and we're going to go into Soulblight Gravelords, turn 1.
The Soulblight battle tactic is eye for an eye. The Vangorian Lord and Maw Crusher both use their finest hour. Vangorian Lord casts Flaming Weapon. The Necromancer casts Overwhelming Dread on the Maw Crusher. The Vampire Lord casts Mystic Shield on the Vangorian Lord. The Skeletons, Graveguard, and Blood Knights deep strike into battlefield. The Vangorian Lord and Maw Crusher roar at each other. The Vangorian Lord deals 4 damage to the Maw Crusher. Ha! Puny vampire. The Blood Knights use all-out defense, and the Brutes deal 5 damage to them. The Blood Knights use all-out attack, kill the Gorgruntas, and deal 3 damage to the Maw Crusher. The War Chanter deals no damage to the Blood Knights. The Brutes use "Alright, get 'em" to charge. This wasn't out of sequence at all. The Blood Knights deal 4 damage to the War Chanter and kill the Brutes. The Maw Crusher uses the Destroyer artifact and deals 19 damage to the Blood Knights. The Brutes deal 10 damage to the Blood Knights. The Gravelords complete their battle tactic for 2 points.
All right. So that was interesting. It's been an eventful round 1, needless to say. Both turns. Obviously, you put the pressure on me over here, and I tried to do the same over there. I was pretty effective until I got hit by that second unit of Brutes. Now,
I was avenging the slaughterhouse that was my first unit of Brutes that got just to the wound destroyed.
Yes.
You just couldn't pull a Carl, could you?
I could not.
Twice.
I know.
Twice.
Exactly. Both units, the Page and those, the Brutes, died exactly to the wound. Cass is very happy about that. I obviously wanted to deal with the Mega Boss. That was number one. That is the number one threat. And I buffed up the Vandorian Lord, went for it, went all in.
I should drink my sorrows away.
Yeah, now I did put some debuffs on him to try and not take too much damage, but the Mega Boss, I mean, with all the debuffs, I only took 1 damage from the Rider, but you'd use Mighty Destroyer, so that was 7 damage. Another 12 coming through from the Paid dealt 19 damage to my
I wish I would have rolled better for that. But
yeah, I'm very glad you didn't. But that's why I had to throw the debuffs on you to try and survive there. I only got 7 damage on him, so I don't feel great over there.
All right, so then now I feel like this is like the moment of truth.
This very much is the moment of truth. I actually
feel like this is like game. Whoever gets this
I
priority.
unfortunately pulled out of combat from you, which is not ideal. I mean, if I had have kept them tagged, they were all piling in and attacking anyway, so it didn't matter. This is going to be a very impactful priority, I think. It's tough. Yeah, if I win turn, I'll have a chance to kill stuff over there.
You'll be able to kill these guys.
Yeah.
And then even take this out.
But I don't know if I can take out the Mega Boss, but yeah, this is definitely going to be a big priority. You going first and taking the first turn actually means you win ties here, so it gives you a better shot at winning priority, but we will jump into it. This is the fate of the dice and who sleeps on the couch. That's a 2.
Fuck yeah!
Cass rolls a 6. Unsurprisingly. So, Cass, are you going to give away the turn? Or are you going to take it?
I think I need to go with the same, like, even if I wasn't, like, I don't know. I'm going to take it, but that's just me as, like, the nature of my personality.
No, that's the right call here.
It's the right call, but it's also, screw it.
The thing I am going to do, though, is make this objective, because I'm going second, I get to make this center one the proving ground, which means only the Galatian veterans can control it. So these Paids, even if they killed my stuff over there, can't take control of that objective because they don't count towards it. So that'll actually kind of hurt you a little bit scoring-wise, because it also doesn't matter if you take this one because you have to hold the center one. So that's a downside to taking the turn, but I think, yeah, that's the right choice. Otherwise, I'd have a shot at crippling the other
Yeah,
unit
no,
dudes, so.
it would be game
100%
over
the
if I
right
didn't.
call.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
let's see what I can do.
All right, Ironjawz, turn 2.
The Ironjawz battle tactic is eye for an eye. The Maw Crusher fails heroic leadership, but the Vampire Lord succeeds. The Shaman casts a great big ring hand of Gork on the War Chanter. The War Chanters use Violent Fury on the Maw Crusher and Brutes. The War Chanter uses Fix and Beat, healing 2 wounds to the Maw Crusher. The Maw Crusher deals 2 damage to the Vangorian Lord. The Ironjawz call the Wah. The Maw Crusher uses Titanic Duel. The Vangorian Lord roars at the Maw Crusher. The Blood Knights use all out defense, but the Brutes still take him out. The Maw Crusher kills the Vangorian Lord. The Blood Knights deal 1 damage to the Maw Crusher. The Ironjawz hold 1 objective and complete their battle tactic for 3 points.
All right, so I got my revenge.
You did. Eye for an eye. Again.
Eye for an eye. So I cleaned up the, what are they called?
Blood Knights.
I cleaned up the Blood Knights here.
Exactly to the wound.
Yes, eye for an eye, exactly. And then I ran my other little unit of piggy pigs here just to tag this objective. And then I also killed Jordan's general. So
yes, you did.
Did I kill a monster with a monster?
That's no longer, that's old GHB, so you know that's no longer a bonus points for monster kills. But you still killed him, and yeah. Cass is angry. You can't have it all. You killed them, you get hold one. Because I made this the proving ground, you couldn't actually take this objective, so such the suck. But you did come over here and tag this one.
Well, wouldn't I have had to keep my pigs there to keep that objective anyway?
I own the objective, so there's no way for you to take it with. Unless, only thing that can count on that would be Galatian Veterans units, which is only them.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, yeah,
So you do deny, so I'll have to work, actually, I mean.
It could have been 6, it could have been 5 points, kill a monster with a monster, however.
So, well, you get 3.
Not,
yeah,
so it's only 3. But in my heart, it's 5. So, leave me alone.
Yeah, well, I'm not feeling great. Obviously, first time out with the army.
But these guys can do some damage.
They can do work, especially if they get into like your brutes or something, because they are a bounty hunter as well.
The last time I played, I think, if not this exact list, not similar, this guy never did anything.
He never had the chance.
No. So I hope that he actually gets a chance to do something, because otherwise that's going to be real sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess going into your turn, we'll see what you can do.
I'm going to just try and, I think, secure the center, and I got to take that and just try and score a little bit while I can, and I don't know, screen out. It's the best I can do, I think, at this point. So we will jump into Soulblight Gravelords, turn 2.
The Soulblight battle tactic is Callous Overlord. The Vampire Lord and Maw Crusher both fail heroic leadership. The Vampire Lord casts Mystic Shield on the Blood Knights. The Necromancer fails to cast Overwhelming Dread. The Grave Guard uses At the Double. The Maw Crusher fails to Stomp. The Maw Crusher kills the Fellbats. Half of the skeletons are returned from Endless Legions. Frickin' skeletons, I hate those guys. The Gore-Gruntas deal 1 mortal wound from their Gore-Grunta charge. Sorry, I know it's out of sequence. I'm still learning. The Blood Knights use all-out attack and deal 3 damage to the Gore-Gruntas. The Gore-Gruntas deal 5 damage to the Blood Knights. The Soulblight hold 2 objectives and complete their battle tactic for 5 points.
All right, third time we're trying to record this recap. Couple things, namely Iron Suns, we keep forgetting about the charge thing, so we went back and did it out of sequence again, but we just worked through, made sure we did it in the right order, where I would have attacked with the Blood Knights first, you would have killed the bats and then attacked with these guys. So we were able to do it without messing with the game state, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, I do still control that objective, which is big for me. Controlling the center also does give me 5 points for the round because I threw the Fellbats in to their death, which also was handy because it stopped you from like doing the charge with the Mega Boss into something. I'm obviously trying to set up here for the double, giving me a shot to take down, go into the Mega Boss with the Grave Guard would be huge. You did charge here again, like we talked about, killed a Blood Knight, tie up that unit, which I was hoping to be able to rally next turn, but pesky orcs getting stuck into combat. I did, though, bring back half the unit of skeletons finally, so they are back out. Yep. And yeah, 5 points for me, so I have a little bit of lead right now, but we're into a big priority roll. Again. Round 3. I actually feel like I'm in a decent spot. It's interesting. We've both been smashing each other real good, but I potentially can finally get the Grave Guard into combat here, take down the Mega Boss. Go for it at least. You win ties. I rolled a 5. That's definitely cocked.
Damn it.
It's the rocks. If it was meant to be... Cass wins, rolls a 5 to tie.
Yeah.
So it was meant to be, and Cass, what are you going to do?
I'm going to take the turn.
Okay, so we will go into Ironjawz turn 3.
The Ironjawz battle tactic is head-to-head. The Maw Crusher fails heroic leadership, but the Vampire Lord succeeds. The War Chanters use Violent Fury on the Maw Crusher and the Brutes. The War Chanter uses Fix and Beat, healing 2 wounds to the Maw Crusher. The Shaman fails to cast the Great Big Green Hand of Gore. The Brutes use Mighty Destroyers. The Maw Crusher deals 1 damage to the Graveguard. The War Chanter uses Get 'em Beat on the Brutes. The Brutes use Forward to Victory and make their charge. The Maw Crusher roars at the Graveguard. The Skeletons use all out defense, but the Brutes take him out. The Maw Crusher kills the Graveguard. The Gorgruntas deal 2 damage to the Blood Knights. The Blood Knights use all-out attack and deal 2 damage to the Gorgruntas. Ten Graveguard return from Endless Legions. The Ironjawz hold 2 objectives and complete their battle tactic for 5 points.
Yeah, I killed some skeletons.
You did. You killed 15 skeletons that you had already killed.
And
Then you killed 20 more of the other kind of skeletons.
and you brought fucking 10 back, excuse my language, but it's just so annoying. And then I killed a Death Rider, or whatever they're called.
Blood Knight.
Blood Knight.
Yeah. Killed a Blood Knight. I killed a Gorgrunta. We are both 30 with our battle line. We each have 30 models on here, but you do have your War Chanter to make it 32 for you.
Bam!
Yeah.
War Chanter that survived.
Yeah. And this, you actually would have taken this if it was not the Proving Ground, which means even though none of us, our stuff is counting on it, I already owned it. So that will remain in my control, which is actually really good for me hopefully scoring some points next round.
So I get my battle tactic.
You get your battle tactic, and you hold 1, hold 2, hold more, so you get 5 points.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have to try and just score points is I think the best I can do right now, and just try and survive. And I did have an advantage earlier, so if I can score 5 here, I can maybe hang on. But we'll see if I win a priority 2. That might help. But we will jump into Soulblight Gravelords, turn 3.
The Soulblight battle tactic is gaining momentum. The Vampire Lord and Mega Boss both use heroic leadership. The Vampire Lord fails to cast Mystic Shield. The Necromancer casts Overwhelming Dread but is unbound. The Brutes use Alright, Get 'em. The Graveguard use all-out attack and deals 6 damage to the Mega Boss. Survives with 1 wound. The Brutes kill the skeletons. The Mega Boss deals 7 damage to the Graveguard. The Soulblight hold no objectives and fail their battle tactic for a whopping 0 points.
Oh, gosh. Well, I knew I was in a long shot spot looking for desperate plays, and in the midst of that, went for a risky, having brought those guys back, I went for a risky play to kill the Mega Boss, have more objectives.
I mean, you almost did it. You pulled a Carl.
I did. I did 6 out of 7 damage to the Mega Boss, so nearly had it with those 10 Graveguard. The thing I forgot about was the Iron Sun's charge in the enemy combat, or the enemy turn. And I was like, oh, I can move my my Vampire Lord and a Blood Knight over there. I'll have 2 more bodies than you, and we'll be tied. Or no, sorry, I'll beat you. We'll no longer be tied. And I'll take that objective. I would take all 3. If I had killed the Mega Boss, it actually makes it hard for you to take this one, because then I have more bodies there. If I win priority, I store it again. But Iron Sons, you did a charge, and then you did 28 damage to my 10 skeletons. With the way that went, and then the way this went, of the Mega Boss killing 7 skeletons, 7 of the Grave Guard, and the other 3 running, nothing else matters. Even if I went into your brutes, kill a couple, it's inconsequential to the game here.
Especially with this guy still being alive.
I do hold 1, because this is a proven ground, so only Dilation veteran units can contest it, so I still remain in control. So I did hold 1.
You fail your battle tactic.
I failed my battle tactic. I get 1 point. I am now 2 points behind. Again, if not for Iron Sons, actually, if you were one of the other sub-factions, that would have been a great play, if I had have also gotten that. And then 1 priority, because then I could score 5 points again, right? And really, I kind of take a decent lead. But we are into round 4 priority. That's a 6. I win priority. A little too late, though. Unfortunately, would have loved one of the earlier ones. Here, what is possible for me to do? You have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bodies on the objective. I have 6 at most. So I can't even remain in control of that objective. I don't think there's even a battle tactic I could achieve just thinking it through. So I think that's all she wrote for the Soulblight Gravelords. Bit of a rough one with the Ironjawz. Again, the Iron Sons is good. But yeah, so no points on my turn. At this point, I'm going to store none the rest of the game. You're going to get hold 1, hold more the next 2 turns. Battle tactic. Grand strat at the end. Deny me that as well. So you'll be storing another 13 points here. And sealing a solid victory with the Ironjawz. What are your thoughts from the early turns? I think after your turn 1, you were a little nervous if you made the right play or not.
Because, Jordan and I were talking, obviously off camera, and he was like, that's not what I would have done. And I'm just like, oh, shit, did I just, shit the bed? Obviously I take your opinion to very high regard, so I was like, the fact that you just said that, that's not something you would have done, I was like, but then I was like, hey, I have to stay true to my nature, especially when I'm playing an aggressive army like this. I just, I don't know. I feel I think maybe I had tried to play strategic once with these guys, and it ended up biting me in the butt. And then I think just from there, I've just been like, nah, I'm just going to go and smash stuff. I think if it was a very obvious,
if you're only killing
play to have to not be aggressive, then that's different.
Against Deepkin, you knew you had to play a little more reserved.
Or if it was if you had anything with lots of shooting, if you Lumineth with all of your bull crap, with those guys, I would be more scared, right? Because I can sometimes only go so far, and then if you're shooting at me, but I just had to I don't know. I had to get in there and do stuff right away.
You put a lot of pressure on, and could have been a little risky, but the way you actually positioned with the pigs in the middle, your Mega Boss on the end, meant if I had got all 10 Blood Knights into there and the Vainglory Lord, I maybe take out the Mega Boss turn 1 in response, and then that's devastating. But the fact that with the positioning, I couldn't do that smartly on your part. And the Vainglory Lord went in and didn't really do much. That it just I didn't have another way to kill him. Maybe in hindsight, having known I made that 9-inch charge, if I had have brought the other unit of Blood Knights over there, potentially need to try and secure this flank and then push across, would have been the better play, as opposed to, I ended up throwing away my Blood Knights. I killed 10 brutes and lost them to the other 10 brutes. So that's not a good trade for me. Like, I need to be able to kind of get more usage out of them. So
But you almost should have actually used them to try and get rid of
that's what I
him.
mean. Like,
Yeah.
I should have
Yeah.
spent all my effort over here.
Yeah.
Because in hindsight, you know, I was hoping that my Blood Knights and the Vandorian Lord could do the job, and they couldn't on their own. So that's part of the learning process of a new army is getting a feel for all the units and
Like knowing how much damage you can safely do.
exactly. And like with your finest hour, it's like I couldn't avoid it either because of Iron Suns. Like again, we talked about it then. I have to kill the page, otherwise I'm running away from both these things and giving up my objective, which I have to hold to be able to score the other ones. So Iron Suns actually was coming up real big here in this kind of a mission. And I think it worked really well with bigger brute units too, because the brutes do so much damage.
Yeah, I remember I think I ended up, last time I played this army, I didn't have brutes.
Yeah.
And I think
There's-
the brutes are just so good.
Yeah, the
Especially when
the
they're
builds-
like, when they're buffed up, like,
Yeah.
man, they're just
the pig builds are like a little more techy, have a little more tricks.
Yeah, I'm not good
But
at that.
this is all literally brute force.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah, and the
That's
pigs
what I'm
here.
good at.
I mean, it's great too in the sub faction or with the battalion. Sorry, counting as 3 models for your brutes. These guys are great at killing other Dilation veteran
I have
units.
to say, I
as
think
bounty
my
hunters. Like,
MVP of this match has to be this War Chanter that survived.
the War Chanter that survived gave you the 3d6
Yeah, I
charge
know.
because you would have
I know.
failed
And
otherwise.
got me the objective.
And
like he
yeah.
just like I'm
Oh,
like
man.
how many points do they have?
Yeah,
Are they how much health do these guys have?
the 6. So he survived
Yeah.
with 2 left, I think.
Imagine if he just survived with 1. That would have
Yeah.
been hilarious. I mean, this guy like second, I guess. He actually got to do something for
I
once.
don't know. Your brutes, they killed 10 Blood Knights. And
The brutes were great.
Yeah.
But this allowed me to keep
Yes,
buffing them.
yeah.
It's like I just feel like
if he had died, yeah, you wouldn't have been
I would have
buffing.
had a hard
They would
time.
have had half the damage. Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
true.
So I feel like
yeah.
the fact that he survived and was able to not only be a body but also able to do his buffs and stuff, that was like pretty sick.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Iron Suns, again, lot of, I mean, we're saying the brutes aren't as much tricks and tech, but there's a lot of tech in that. Like, when you're so centralized that you have so many units next to each other, putting those 10 Blood Knights in, sure, I killed that other unit, but I lost half of them that turn. Now, again, we're getting used to the Iron Suns thing. This is the first time you've ran that, so it's like, you remembered at the end
then we kept
to do it in
forgetting, but
sequence, at the right timing, but
yeah, you straight up forgot.
I straight up forgot, yeah.
I was like, no, I'm not going to forget this time
Well,
because we
yeah,
kept
you-
having to like re-record stuff. Because we
I
totally
thought I
forget.
made set up to take an objective without having to fight, and then you're like, no, but we're gonna fight.
Yeah,
So-
but no. Nice try.
yeah, so not the best first outing for Soulblight here. I think I've got a lot to learn. That's how it's always first time playing a new army. There's a lot to learn, right?
I mean, like, I feel like you played well considering that, like, you didn't win your first priority until the end.
yeah.
Like, this
2
would have been, like, yeah,
feel
those
like
2 super big. Like,
like-
that was, like, the game could have been completely different.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think.
I think
yeah.
like that mistake of bringing the Blood Knights in, that could have cost me the game, and because of those priorities, it did.
Yeah.
But
like,
I think even if I had have won that like round 3 priority and got to put those 20 Graveguard into your Mega Boss, I think that could have been spicy. Like they could have potentially taken him down, and then I still have the screens with the Graveguard then coming to fight
And
the
then you'd
brutes,
still have been
and
able
the
to,
plus
like,
1 damage
yeah.
against the brutes
So,
because of the bounty
yeah.
hunter. So there
So,
definitely
I mean,
was
it was
in
a lot of like, it was a
Yeah.
lot of like those like super big priority rolls.
Yeah.
And the fact that I won ties too, you
Yeah.
know? As soon as I saw you roll that 5, I was like, fuck. And then I was like, ah.
Yeah, because you took first, that's one advantage. When, in games where it's like they're so polarizing or there's like, they're so volatile with the armies or the matchups, there is an advantage to taking first because it gives you a higher chance of winning that turn 2 priority. If you know like a game's going to be so devastating that it's going to come down to turn 2 priority to seal the game either way, taking first isn't bad because you get to hit first and you get...
You win ties.
Yeah, you win the ties there, so you have a better chance to win prio.
Yep.
But yeah, that's it. So first outing for the Soulblight. Definitely going to have to bring them out a lot more. I'm excited to learn this army and get more experience with them. But I mean, also just beautiful on the table. So shout outs again to Art W and their team. Did an amazing job on this. Super thankful to have this army on the table. But that's pretty much it that is it for this game. We're to wrap things up. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this match. If you enjoyed our content, don't forget to check out our premium membership. Get more videos and battle reports and all that fun stuff. But that's going to be it for this one here tonight. And we'll see you guys soon in another battle report.